Always take it to the edge. It's the cyberpunk way. That's not just some cool tagline, you know? It's a creed. It's pretty much the only rule for staying alive in a world that, frankly, wants you dead. And that right there, that's the core philosophy we're jacking into today.
So, what are we talking about? We're diving deep into Cyberpunk 2020. Yeah, the classic role-playing game of the dark future. This is the one that basically set the stage for a whole genre, giving us that gritty, neon-drenched vision of what's to come.
Welcome to the dark future, where survival is everything, and I mean that. Forget everything you think you know about games. This isn't about scoring points or beating some final boss. No, this is about one thing, and one thing only: surviving. We're talking about a world so tough, so gritty, that every single choice you make, well, it might just be your last.
Okay, so what is Cyberpunk 2020 at its core? Well, it's the second edition of this super popular pen and paper RPG. It was designed by the legendary Mike Pondsmith and is set in the updated year of, you guessed it, 2020. It's actually a revision of an even earlier game called Cyberpunk 2013, so it kind of pushes the timeline forward and really flushes out the world.
All right, next up, the City of Night, a world of corporate greed and street-level warfare. And let me tell you, in this game, the setting itself is maybe the most important character. So let's jack in and take a look at this place. This concrete jungle that's just constantly teetering on the verge of total collapse, all thanks to mega corporations and the sheer violent desperation you find down on the street.
See, the first edition of the game, it was set in a kind of generic near-future city. But with 2020, they gave us a real place to call home, or, well, a place to try and survive in, Night City. And it's not just a backdrop. It's a living, breathing character, a massive, sprawling city where every single shadow could be hiding your worst nightmare, and every skyscraper is just a giant monument to the corporations that own everything.
And this right here really gets to the heart of the power dynamic. On one side, you have the corporations. And these aren't just faceless companies. No, they have these incredibly detailed histories, insane amounts of assets, and named executives pulling all the strings. Then, on the other side of the equation, there's the street. And who's on the street? You are. You're a cyberpunk, a freelancer, an edge runner on the mean streets, just trying to make rent by working for whoever pays best.
So, that brings us to maybe the most critical decision you're going to make. Choose your role. On these mean streets, who will you be? And look, this is way more important than what gun you're carrying or what Chrome you've got installed. This is about who you are. Your role, it defines everything about you, what you can do, your function, your very identity in this world.
So, to even get started playing, the very first thing you have to do is make your character. Which all comes down to that one huge question: who are you? Seriously. Before you even set foot on the pavement of Night City, you've got to answer that. Are you going to be a rebel? A hired killer? A ghost haunting the data streams? Let's check out some of the most iconic choices.
First up, you could be a rocker boy. Think of a street poet with a guitar, a rebel with a cause. These are the musicians who use their art, their voice, as a literal weapon against the system. They're the ones trying to wake people up and fight the cores from the stage.
Or maybe you're more of a solo, the street samurai, the hired gun. We're talking about cybernetically jacked up assassins, bodyguards, mercs. Their bodies are walking arsenals, and their only loyalty is to the person who signs the check.
Then again, maybe you're a net runner. These are the hackers, the digital wizards. They literally jack their brains into the net, this ghostly digital world, to steal secrets, crash systems, and battle deadly AI constructs. They're the ghosts in the machine.
And hey, those are just 3 possibilities. In total, there are 9 core roles of the dark future. You've got the rocker boy, solo, and netrunner we just met, but there's also the techie who can build and fix anything. The media, a journalist chasing the truth, no matter how dangerous. The cop, trying to hold the line in a city that's falling apart. The corporate, playing the game from the inside. The street-smart fixer, who brokers all the deals in the shadows. And the outcast nomad, ruling the highways outside the city limits. So many ways to live or die.
Okay, so where did this whole incredible dark vision even come from? Let's talk about the architect and the rules. The minds and the machine behind the dark future.
And that architect? His name is Mike Pondsmith. He's the original author, the designer, the guy who created this entire universe through his company R. Talsorian Games. He literally built the foundation for everything we know as Cyberpunk.
You know, the game didn't just appear fully formed. It evolved. It kicked off in 1990 as a boxed set. A couple years later, in '92, we got version 2.0. Then, a year after that, version 2.01 dropped with some fixes and, get this, some really cool new artwork from the Italian version of the game. And that version, 2.01, that became the definitive edition. So much so that when they re-released the game in 2014, that's the one they brought back, calling it the Classic Roleplaying Game of the Dark Future.
But here's the thing, that core rulebook, that was just scratching the surface. It was only the beginning of an ever-expanding edge. The world of 2020 was built from the ground up to get bigger, deeper, and way, way more detailed.
And when I say bigger, I really mean it. How much bigger? Dozens. We're not talking about a couple of extra books here. We're talking dozens of source books that were released to detail absolutely everything you could imagine, from the weapons in your hands to the corporations you were fighting against.
I mean, just listen to some of these titles. They're so perfect. You've got Black Hand Street Weapons 2020, which is exactly what it sounds like. The Night City Sourcebook, a deep dive into the city itself. The Corporation Report, telling you all about the big bad guys. The Chromebooks, which were basically shopping catalogs for cybernetics. And of course, the legendary Ratchet Bartmoss's Guide to the Net. Each one just pulls you deeper into the world.
And of course, that legacy just kept growing. The game's story continued with sequels like Cyberpunk Red, which is the tabletop game that actually bridges the time gap, and then, of course, the blockbuster video game Cyberpunk 2077. The influence is just massive. You can see the DNA of 2020 in all of it.
And this is the really cool part. After that huge E3 reveal for Cyberpunk 2077, the popularity of the original tabletop game just exploded. All of a sudden, there was this huge new demand for the old books. Everyone wanted to go back and experience where this incredible world started. It really brought everything full circle.
So that brings us right back to where we started. Back to the most important part of the equation, you. The corporations have their power. The city has its rules, yeah? But your future? That's not written yet. So the big question, the only one that really matters, is still waiting for an answer. The choice is yours. In the dark future, who will you be?